originally, 99 was a record and clothes store in the village. And I'd been meeting a lot of the English independent people, and they've come over with bands like Richard Boone, who manages Buzzcocks, and New Hormones, the record label. So I was having a few drinks with Richard Boone of New Hormones, and I had just seen Glenn Branca at Tier 3, which is a small club where almost any band could play and try new forms of music out. And I was really excited by what he was doing, but I had no formal plans to start a label. And Richard Boone said, why don't you just do it?
Good day once again, VC. This is Dom, Seeking a Thread, bringing you the video I've teased for quite a bit, the 99 label and the history of the 99 label and all the records of the 99 label. A very influential but somewhat unknown post-punk, disco, funk, electro, reggae, dub, real mishmash of styles. A label that was operated out of the west side of Manhattan in the early 80s, approximately 1980 to 1985. So I'm going to get into that in just a second. It's a label I'm a huge fan of. I've been collecting, I think I have just about all the records, and I'm excited to talk about them and show them. Real quick, some shout outs to the VC. Been digging into a bunch of good videos this week. Stunty's ECM video definitely sent me down a wormhole of finding some ECM stuff that I don't have, and Alex, Motorhead 247, showed some more things. I'm like, ECM I gotta pay a little more attention to. I only got a couple. Psych in the Valleys, I discovered your channel and started watching some of those videos. So you just returned with a new one. Good stuff, good variety, also great variety. Dave, local bandography, great stuff. Really enjoy all the different things you're putting out there. I'm going to continue to watch those. And who else was I watching this week? Oh, Vinyl Douche, of course. Another fun entry into the world of the douche. And Dots and Loops. Enjoyed your cleanup of Peak Impressions, Freeborn. What an amazing record that is. I got a reissue of that. German press, good way to go. In any case, let's get into this label, the 99 label. And by the way, I'm going to link to the main piece of information out there, the main article I read from the Vinyl Factory, that you can read in depth on all these bands. And there is an interview from the early 80s with Bahlman on Mixcloud. That's like all I could find. There's like nothing. So I will link to those. So it started about 1978 in the West Village. And it started as a clothing company, essentially, a clothing shop. And it was by a woman named Gina Franklin, I think it is. And she met this guy, Ed Bahlman, who ended up being the 99 Records, owner and, producer. Ed Bahlman would end up signing all the bands, and he ended up bringing records into this shop called 99, which started by Gina as a clothing and sort of punk store. I guess it was, it was becoming that anyway. He brought in the record side of things, and apparently at that time, the only other place to buy punk records in the late 70s in New York was Bleecker Bob's, and they apparently were like a stiff record, sort of like strict UK sort of outlet, and which it was a great place to go. But 99 ended up being like the real cooler, more sort of avant-garde, cutting-edge sort of shop, and it ended up being similar to like Rough Trade in London. And Ed Bahlman was the guy, and he started sort of bringing in all these singles and stuff, and eventually he decided to start releasing some records. There's not a lot out there. I'm going to talk about later about Ed Bahlman, and there's just not that much imagery. There is some videos and things, and a bit of things of the bands, but in terms of label ephemera and label history, there's like nothing. And you'll see this incredible stuff. So the first record he puts out is by Glenn Branca. He met Glenn Branca, who was doing stuff with the Static. Was like one of his like sort of no wave project, which I have that single. Don't have it with me, but the Static is an incredible no wave, real harsh, cathartic record. same time exploring sort of minimalism and classical and composer music. And that's essentially what he started doing. And the first release is Lesson Number 1, an iconic record. This is just two sides. Lesson Number 1 for electric guitar and Dissonance. Features Branca on guitar, along with Anthony Coleman, organ, Michael Gross guitar, F.L. Schroeder bass, and Stephen Weichert drums. And this is sort of the context and project that Sonic Youth would get associated with Lee Ranaldo and Thurston Moore, who play on... Well, let's just show the label. I'm going to try to show the 9-9 label every time. It's an iconic label. Every record has a 9-9. And they're usually with a different color scheme. Heavily bootleg label, by the way, on some of these records. Mainly the Liquid Liquid and ESG you'll see, but this was the first release. The reissue done by Superior Viaduct, which I have, includes the Bad Smells 12-inch with with Thurston Moore and Lee Ranaldo on guitar, which is not on the original release. That's why I still have this. But this record started Bahlman's relationship with Branca. Apparently they would feud a lot, and Bahlman was a tough character, and I think Branca was too. And apparently he was trying to get them to sign Sonic Youth and to sign 9-9 to sign Sonic Youth. And Bahlman would sign a few records or sign a few projects that Glenn Branca did bring to him, like Y Pants. But he tried to get him to sign Sonic Youth, and he just didn't do it. I'm not sure why. There's no real reason for this. He wouldn't sign Sonic Youth, and Sonic Youth ended up signing on Glenn Branca's Neutral label, which I'll show in a second, which he started on his own, and would eventually start putting out records on there as well. But here's the other Glenn Branca record. This came out about a year later, in 1982, I think this is. And this does feature Lee Ranaldo playing on the entire record, along with some of the same folks as on the first EP. Ned Sublette, David Rosenblum, Lee Ranaldo, and Glenn Branca on guitars, bass Jeffrey Glenn, drums Stephen Weichert. And if you haven't heard Glenn Branca, and particularly these records, it's basically like almost like a Hawkwind vibe, but with just repeating guitars, like multiple guitars, by the way. From a classical perspective, and Branca's up there conducting. He's actually conducting them and getting really into it. Perform live on the recordings he would play, but Branca's up there really pushing this thing forward. It's propulsive, it's sort of cathartic, it's pounding, it's psychedelic, it's awesome stuff. It really it's super grand and huge. And so that's Glenn Branca. He would end up, like I said, starting Neutral, and would release one of the records on that label by Y Pants, who I've shown one time before. But they did release Y Pants, this single on 9-9. 9-9. Y Pants. This was a trio of women. Great post-punk record. This 7-inch. They cover the Rolling Stones, Off the Hook on here, which does not sound anything like Off the Hook, an early Stones track. You can see there. Here's the insert. Beautiful Food, Favorite Sweater, Luego Fuego. The front woman is basically Barbara S., who's playing bass, and you have toy instruments, toy pianos. Gina, let's see, I don't have the members in front of me. But this, Barbara S., Verge Pearsall, and Gail Vachon. This is the Neutral release, the album. Beat It Down. But Branca did bring this band to Bahlman, and he signed them. I don't think this sold particularly well, but It's really interesting. Apparently they would set up all sorts of toy instruments and large amps on stage, and they really were going for like a DIY sound, kind of like a raincoat sound, and very much like nothing like else on this label. I guess it's more of the one like indie rock record, I suppose. There's the sleeve. But really interesting, unsettling, and like I said, a lot of toy instrumentation, very, yeah, DIY. The other 45 I have, and this is like one of the key releases on the labels, but Bush Tetris, and one of an all-time great songs, Too Many Creeps. Now, Too Many Creeps became kind of like a local disco hit. I showed this a bit in my post-punk women for International Women's Day. But it was like number 57, I think, on the Billboard disco charts, believe it or not. It sold like 30,000 copies. I'm going to insert music of this. It's just super catchy. It's Gang of Four style, very minimal guitars, driving bass lines. It's very danceable. Excellent song. The only thing Bush Tetris would put out on the label, they would sort of, get their start there. It's Purple 99. So after the Bush Tetris, you get, let's see, ESG. We got to talk about ESG. Emerald, Sapphire, and Groove. So this is another one of the key releases, bands on the 99 label. Bahlman actually was in a CBS, I think it was a CBS like talent contest. I don't know the full story, but he was a judge. A local talent contest, I guess in New York, and ESG was one of the bands, and they finished, I think, almost last, or maybe was last, and they didn't do well. I don't know who else was in the contest, but he flipped over him. He like forget everyone else. He went up to them and said, "I want to sign you. I want to work with you." He then went to see them perform and brought Tony Wilson of Factory Records, and Tony Wilson loved them too. He brought them to the UK to work with Martin Hannett, the legendary producer of Joy Division, and that's what's on this. In the UK, it's a 7-inch with the 3 songs. Where are the songs? Yes, right on the front. Right, You're No Good, Moody, and UFO, which are amazing tracks. UFO has been sampled and is an iconic song.
I'm like a rabbi, fresh new mag and I'm mad high, stolen black jag, I brag fly, yeah, yo, a project thug. Gracious, let me just take this time out to pull a rhyme out and update this for you and yours, simply to you push it a lot, you're under the wall, paper and made it so. Tell you who I am, the B-I-G-D-A-D-D-Y-K-A-N-E, dramatic, Asiatic, not like many, I'm different. For me to start something, bucking and bucking at niggas like I was duck hunting, coming out just me and my crew.
Yes, Bahlman put it out on 99 and put 3 more live tracks on it. Earn It, the ESG title track, and Hey. This is an essential EP, essential record. Heavily bootleg. There's many different label variations of this. I forget which one I have, but it is legit. There's the 99. The other cool thing that was with, I don't know if it was with all the releases, but some of the ones I have came with this insert. What a cool insert, just advertising all the other releases on the label. I love it. I have a couple of these. I don't know if it was in every record, but probably was. You know, they, you know, like a lot of great labels, they try to sort of give it similar label design, label layout. One of the things I like about a lot of the labels I do is sort of a uniform look. This was a very successful record for them. Just an EP, and they would, you know, basically tour around. I don't know if they toured ever, but they played in the city. And the other things I have are this EP, the follow-up. This is very good as well. Not quite the same as the self-titled EP. But Dance, The Beat, and Moody. Now, a lot of ESG stuff has been compiled and repackaged with soul jazz. Does this have the insert? No. I'll show you the 99. This is on the black 99 label. 45 RPM. And they had the one album. And then they would come back later. Well, let's show you the album. All of these I found, well, most of this I've sort of picked up over, I started collecting these 99 records in maybe 2014. And I just would pick them up over the years. There's not that many, as you'll see, so I was able to basically get them all. Here's the album, which some say is not very successful. I got this for like $30, I think it was, because of the radio station rating. I was super happy to get this. I forget which shop. I got this in a shop somewhere. I can't remember. I want to say Buffalo, but anyway. I think that's wrong. Anyway, this is the full-length album. Not many full-length albums on 99. But here's the ESG one. This one you have Come Away, Dance, Parking Lot Blues, You Make No Sense is great. My Love for You. It's, okay, so ESG, to talk about it. And by the way, the years of this, I'm not talking about the years too much. This is like approximately 1981 to 1983, essentially. But the sound of ESG. The EP first was recorded in 12/30, December 3rd, 1980. And these next few releases are 1981, 1982. It's like funk. It's like minimal funk, but with a punk feel, with a punk edge. You know, the Martin Hannett thing, he gave it like a real minimalist feel. Super taut groove. Spacey synths. Unlike anything else. It's, you know, they're from the Bronx. The members, you have Renee, Deborah, Valerie, Marie, and Tito. I believe how many of them are related, I forget. But they're like a family band almost. Ed Bahlman producing on this one, as well as, Bahlman producing. It's great. The EP is definitely the one to grab, but ESG would become heralded as the years went on, but at this time, you know, they were sort of just like a local club secret. Where, you know, I think they were getting some popularity, but it was mainly here in New York. So that's ESG.